Hey everyone, welcome back. Today on RC Studios, I'm going to be showing you how to replace the slipper clutch and spur gear on this Traxxas Slash XL-5 two-wheel drive. Here is a list of all the parts you're going to need. You're going to need Traxxas part number 5556, 5552X, 4683, and I'm going to throw in the 2792. I will leave links for all the parts I use in this video down in the description below. Here are all the tools you're going to need. You're going to need your 4-way wrench that's included with your vehicle, a 1mm wrench, a 1.5mm wrench, and a 2.5mm wrench. You're going to begin by removing the wheel. Once you have that removed, you're going to remove the bolt right there and the bolt right there using the 1.5mm Allen wrench. Once you have removed both those bolts, the cover should pull right off. After that, we're going to go through and remove the two motor holding screws right here and here. Once you have both those screws loosened up, you're just going to be able to come in and pull out the motor, and you're going to set it off to the side. Next, we're going to go in and remove this screw right here that's holding back the spring. You're going to use the T-wrench from earlier, and you're going to turn that counterclockwise. Alright, and that's going to remove this entire assembly. Once you remove the spur gear and the little spring, the spur gear will come with it. So you're going to come in, you're going to remove the disc, and then you're going to come through and pop this off. It's going to be, should just pull right off. And you're going to pull this forward and pop out the pin. So we're going to replace all of that. Alright, now we're going to move back to the spur gear. We're going to come through and we're going to remove all three of these screws with the 2.5mm Allen wrench. Alright, once we have all three of those screws removed, we're going to come through with a screwdriver and we're just simply going to push down on the bearing. And that's going to push out the bearing. It's also going to push off the end. You're also going to want to get the bearing out of the spur gear by removing the plate all the way out of the way, pushing down on the bearing the rest of the way. Now we're going to grab our spur gear and start putting everything back together. Alright, with those two out, you're going to want to grab your disc from the slipper clutch rebuild kit. You're going to slip the 3 holes on the back of this into the 3 holes on the spur gear. You're going to flip that over. You're going to take those 3 screws that were removed earlier from the spur gear, and we're going to put those in. You're going to want to put these in a star-shaped pattern. So you're going to go from, you're not going to tighten it down all the way. You're going to go from this one, to this one, to this one, and you're just going to go around in a circle until you have all of them tightened down. Once you have all those put in nice and snug, you're going to take the bearing we removed earlier, and you're going to set it right on in the hole. And then you're going to push the bearing all the way in with the All right, and then we're going to flip this over. We're going to take the slipper pads from the rebuild kit. We're going to put them on the holes right here, on the little placement right there. I'm using the pads from a heavy duty slipper clutch rebuild kit. These are made out of metal instead of a compound. Once we have that all put together, we're going to set this off to the side and we're going to jump over to the truck. All right, we're going to grab the little pin from the rebuild kit and we're going to make sure the holes right here are even. Then we're going to slide the pin into it. Once you have that on, you're going to take your high pressure hub and you're going to slide that onto the pin and you're going to push it on. Once that is on, you're going to take the slipper clutch disc and you're going to place that onto the hub. Let's get to set it on. Then you're going to take the gear assembly that we made earlier, the gear, spur gear, and plate that we put together earlier. You're just going to slide that onto it, and you're going to want to be careful that you don't accidentally knock off the pads. Like that. Now that we have that on, we're going to take one of the springs from the rebuild kit. We're going to set that on. Then the nylon nut that came in it, we're going to put that on, and then we're going to tighten all this down until the spring is compressed. And after you start running the vehicle, you'll have to come in and tighten this bolt if you're still getting slippage from the slipper clutch. Now that we have that installed, we are going to take our motor. We're going to push it back on through. We're going to put it back on. Then we're going to tighten up the top screw right there. Then we're going to set the gear mesh. Once you get the top one semi-tight, you want it to where the motor can actually move in the back. We're going to put in the bottom one. We're going to get that fairly tight as well. Now that we have that on, we're going to grab the motor from the back. We're going to grab a piece of paper, and you're going to want to run this through. But first, you're going to want to get the motor about lined up where you're going to think it's going to want to be. You're going to tighten up that screw so the motor won't move without some pressure and some force. Once you have that, you're going to take a piece of paper. You're going to run this through the gears, and it should come out like that. It should make those little indents on the paper. If it tears the paper and it gets stuck, you're too tight. If it doesn't make these at all, you're a little too loose on your gear mesh. You're going to have to adjust accordingly. Once you do that, you're going to want to go through and tighten up both these bolts as fairly snug. Now that we have our gear mesh set, we're going to come through and we're going to adjust the pinion gear. So the very end of it is flush with the very end of this one. You're going to want to loosen up the set screw. And then you're going to slide it into place. And you're going to tighten it down. Now we're going to come through and we're going to put our gear cover back on. And we're going to tighten that down until all the screws are snug with that. Now we're going to come through and we're going to get our tire put back on. And then we're going to tighten that down. Thank you for watching on how to replace a slipper clutch on a Traxxas Slash 2-wheel drive. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like. Also subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you have any other tips or tricks, make sure you leave them down in the comment section below.